is it really the case that he has some 40 plus, percent at stake and is only looking for just 9 to cross the mark? The Rich Hospital assault. The investigative report has been released. We'll probe the revelations and the fallouts. Don't go anywhere. This is Newsfile. It is your most authoritative news analysis platform.
Playing for your country, easy. Scoring, easy. Avoiding injuries, easy. Winning, easy. But you know what be easy now? Kivo 4-in-1 Gary mix. Easy. It gets everything inside. Gary, creamer, sugar, roasted groundnuts. Just add water, then sharp my soakings make ready. Taste and energy, made easy. I'm a match winner, but the real champion is Kivo 4-in-1 Gary mix. Champion taste.
This advert is FDA approved.
Having gone to Translight Solar, really, it's been one wonderful experience. Since the system was installed in my house, my daytime could be somewhere around 20 cedis. And so I've seen a marked reduction in my bills. And because of that, I am not paying as much as I used to do when I was relying solely on the national grid. My house has now become the city on the hill. With this current doomsaw, anytime my area is off, my house is well lit. Everything is on point. And I can get as much as 13 to 14 hours with my ACs and everything working perfectly well. So I can say, as for Translight, they are the truth, the way, and the light. You have to speak to Translight today. In fact, speak to them now, right now.
Translight Solar. Translight Solar.
Hi. Now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time, our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You get so sorry with your back, sorry. Oh, what you was that thing? What the cat never want me with the Mitchell. Hey! Na ampai.
Utina yanka pai yanka bo.
Hey, madam, pai many.
Hey, Syntax pipe. Me tono. Omo ka tell me say ne ho den pa. Say ye fie, say ye foam. The pipe we bia eye ne gam.
Syntax pipe.
Why eliki?
Come, madam. From today, Syntax pipe in my pipe. No two ways.
When you know, pipe be na be use.
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
Ile kai water. No hala.
We face real challenges every day in Ghana, from high rent prices, housing challenges, expensive food, traffic that drains our pocket and reduces our life expectancy, and rising electricity bills. But what if we told you that these problems are all interconnected and there are sustainable solutions that can actually save you money and improve your life? This August, the Joy Sustainability Month focuses on solutions to some of our key sustainability issues. For 4 weeks, we're diving deep into the issues that matter to your daily life. We will explore how you can still afford to own a home in Ghana, why your food costs so much, and what we can do about it, how to cut your transport costs, and practical ways to power your home, amongst others. Every weekday, join our expert conversations on the Super Morning Show and other programs. This is not just talk, it's about real solutions for real Ghanaians. Because sustainability isn't just about the environment, it's about sustaining your wallet, your family's future, and Ghana's prosperity. The Joy Sustainability Month, starting 4th August 2025. Your sustainability future starts with the right conversations. The Joy Sustainability Month is brought to you by Joy Business and supported by Fidelity Bank. Believe with us.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valixlease.com or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valix Lease, affordable document management solutions.
Welcome back. And here is Samson's take. What do we want? Yeah, you and I, all of us. What do we want for Ghana? What do we want in Singapore? This week, President John Mahama has been in Singapore begging for help and for business that brings jobs to Ghanaians. Singapore is a country of only some 6 million people. They have no natural resources. When Nkrumah says resources don't build a country, but brains do, I think he's talking about Singapore. In fact, booted out of Malaysia in the 1960s, the making of fish hooks was seen as a lifeline for the struggling economy. A British businessman made the proposal to Lee Kuan Yew. I read about this years ago and in my Aspen leadership class. He embraced it, however laughable it sounded. Yes, Lee moved Singapore from a basket case of a third world to an industrialized first world. Even his worst critics do not debate this fact. Leadership is everything, you know. Now, it is such a marvel of a city-state, an intentionally built, clean garden city with a GDP of over 500 billion US dollars in nominal terms. You don't need 2 Singapore dollars to buy 1 United States dollars. Ghana is blessed with 35 million people on a land size over 300 times larger than Singapore's. It is natural resource rich. Yes, we have oil, bauxite, manganese, iron ore, timber, you name them. It is a leader in gold and cocoa production, yet its GDP is a miserly 85 billion US dollars. Even our capital city, Accra, is dirty littered with filth at every turn. Though it has laws against littering and actually spends millions each year in the name of sanitation. A World Bank official once asked me, rhetorically of course, if sanitation is a euphemism for corruption in this town. There are neither jobs nor decent housing for millions of people. Only a fraction of the 13 million or so energetic youth are employed, with over 60% of them in informal, vulnerable, unstable employment. They are robbed of basic needs by years of bad leadership, greedy and democracy destabilizing corrupt office holders. Sadly, the thieving few mobilize the hungry, jobless youth as an army for backward behavior that holds this country back. I know some of you are tired of my corruption statistics I share regularly. But just look at the Auditor General's report for the last 4 years alone. That's a staggering nearly 80 billion Ghana cedis stolen or misused by public officials. They won't be made to pay and they won't go to jail. The Auditor General will not be cited for high crime, which attract 10 years in jail, for disobeying the orders of the Supreme Court to issue surcharges and disallowances against these thieves. He has a fresh auditor's report indicting former National Service Authority boss of pocketing over 8 million cedis. What he corruptly received each month, according to the Fourth Estate, could pay the allowances of over 700 service personnel. I suppose those party people defending him even before they could read the auditor's report include persons he has denied of service because of his conduct. You think what has been discovered at the National Service is new and it will end today? Not with our present conduct. 2 weeks ago, when I signed off on this show, I headed to the airport to commence an 18-hour-long journey to Singapore. I was visiting law firms, the Supreme Court, their famed International Arbitration Center, and interacting with business owners. I shut myself out of the unproductive noise back at home, soaking in the marvel of Singapore when my wife and a colleague lawyer on the trip drew my attention to a development here. People once again besieged the IOCO offices because musician Charles Niyama Mensah Shatawale was detained in ongoing criminal investigations. When politician and broadcaster Paul Adomochre got into a similar situation at the OSP, the NPP was loud, as has become normal. By the Constitution, the police and such other law enforcement agencies can hold a person arrested, restricted, or detained for about 48 hours. That's 2 days. Of course, on reasonable suspicion of criminal conduct. So what is this lawless conduct in massing up at their premises to demand the release of influential suspects detained for only a few hours or just a day? What do we want? What country are we building? The politicians who encourage and lead this lawless conduct, what do you want for Ghana? People hide under parties, issue outright criminal threats of harm and of death on social media. Some engage in violence and they do things that are punishable by law. But when the police pick them up, your first reaction is blind support for them against the police. investigators spend time on a case. When they arrest your people, you repeat this template. You give the suspects the benefit of the doubt. But you are not ready to give those who spend time investigating these people the slightest opportunity of the benefit of the doubt. Shame on you. In Singapore, a minister was recently jailed for accepting flight tickets gifts from a property billionaire who would also plead guilty for abetting crime and obstructing justice. The former transport minister quickly resigned when the issue came up. His party did not mass up at offices of prosecutors or the courts. I'm sure you know prosecution of corruption is very swift in Singapore. I ask again, what do we want? What do we want for Ghana? Ghana will be what? 70 years very soon? Third world to first world in 30 years. That's what Singapore did. And that is my take. I'll be right back.
As a young mom, you're not always sure that you're doing it right. Choosing a baby care product for your child can sometimes be difficult. I choose BabyMed hypoallergenic skincare products, specially formulated to suit my baby's fragile and sensitive skin. A complete range of products that makes every bath time a moment of tenderness and well-being. BabyMed, baby-specific care products.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat, undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Having gone to Translight Solar, really, it's been one wonderful experience. Since the system was installed in my house, my daytime could be somewhere around 20 cedis. And so I've seen a marked reduction in my bills. And because of that, I'm not paying as much as I used to do when I was relying solely on the national grid. My house has now become the city on the hill. With this current doomsaw, anytime my area is off, my house is well lit. Everything is on point. And I can get as much as 13 to 14 hours with my ACs and everything working perfectly well. So I can say, as for Translight, they are the truth, the way, and the light. You have to speak to Translight today. In fact, speak to them now, right now.
Like solar. Trends like solar.
Have you been to Aqua Safari lately? Let me share my experience with you at the new Aqua Safari Resort. When you arrive, you're greeted by warm smiles and introduced to your 24-hour butler who already has your itinerary sorted. Enjoy water sports activities like jet ski rides, kayaking, water sliding, flyboarding, and castanet fishing. You can even have your lunch here on the boat cruise. Experience horseback riding, tennis, and some golfing amongst a host of other activities. Let the tour guides take you through the sceneries of the Volta River, the mangrove forest, the friendliness of the animals, local and exotic birds, while you pet and feed them. You can have this large space for your conferences, corporate retreats, and so many activities as part of the package. We chose to have our breakfast with a beautiful sunrise right in front of our cabin. We had an amazing experience and I can't wait to return for more.
Visit Aqua Safari Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
We face real challenges every day in Ghana, from high rent prices, housing challenges, expensive food, traffic that drains our pocket and reduces our life expectancy, and rising electricity bills. But what if we told you that these problems are all interconnected and there are sustainable solutions that can actually save you money and improve your life? This August, the Joy Sustainability Month focuses on solutions to some of our key sustainability issues. For 4 weeks, we're diving deep into the issues that matter to your daily life. We will explore how you can still afford to own a home in Ghana, why your food costs so much, and what we can do about it, how to cut your transport costs, and practical ways to power your home, amongst others. Every weekday, join our expert conversations on the Super Morning Show and other programs. This is not just talk, it's about real solutions for real Ghanaians, because sustainability isn't just about the environment. It's about sustaining your wallet, your family's future, and Ghana's prosperity. The Joy Sustainability Month, starting 4th August 2025. Your sustainability future starts with the right conversations. The Joy Sustainability Month is brought to you by Joy Business and supported by Fidelity Bank. Believe with us.
We're back. Thank you very much for joining us. And my guests have already started a very interesting debate about Singapore and how depressing it is if you make the comparison. And a colleague lawyer sent me a message. He says the irony is that Singapore happily copied our own J.H. Mensah's drafted 7-year development plan, and they have no shame in admitting it. That's why, as a measure of gratitude, they made entry to Singapore visa-free for holders of Ghanaian passports. You fall into a depression if you read Lee's From Third World to First World. I think every Ghanaian politician should read that and imbibe everything that is in it. And in fact, if you read from Third World to First World, his observations and where Ghana will end up after his visit, my friends say, we're spot on. Okay, so let's get to deal with some other matter, why we are here this morning. But of course, our president is in Singapore and seeking to get some help for this country. My guests are here. Hassan Tampuli is MP Gushon and Deputy Ranking Member, Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament. Tanko Rashid Computer is Deputy National Director of Elections and IT, National Democratic Congress. Dr. Justice Samson, lawyer and former General Secretary, Ghana Medical Association. Suleiman Ibrahima is Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa. And Professor Smart Sapon, Director, Research and Innovation, Kumasi Technical University. They will be helping us to have this discussion. And I want to start on the note of gratitude to my friend and brother, Philip Osei-Bonsu Obi, for holding the fort in my absence last week. So let's take a listen or watch these few clips and come back to the studio. And I began by asking a question. You can send us messages on it, that this state, the Republic of Ghana, has deployed as many as 5,500 police officers. Begin to think about what that costs the country to go to police one small by-election where you may not even get 50% turnout. Be right back.
Deployed 5,500 police personnel for this by-election. All the personnel have gone round to familiarize themselves with their polling stations and the electoral areas where they will be performing their duties. As part of this engagement, the police personnel will get themselves involved in community engagement. The police has announced the deployment of what we call the Black Maria. The Black Maria is a specialized purpose vehicle that we are going to use to accommodate miscreants who intend to create any mayhem or cause confusion during the elections. So when you see the Black Maria around, don't be afraid, provided you are not going to cause any confusion or cause any violence during this electoral process.
The New Patriotic Party has very reliable information and intelligence that the NDC intends to hide behind the guise of national security to terrorize some residents and voters in Akwatia and during the by-election. It is instructive to note that the police administration has indicated their deployment of 5,000 service men for the Akwatia by-election. Despite the IGP's unequivocal assurance that the Ghana Police Service does not need any military support to maintain law and order, the famous Richard Jakpa, my namesake, who has been appointed as the Director of Operation at the National Security, has been seen perambulating the Akwatia constituency with soldiers and reportedly threatening some indigents and residents to leave town before the by-election in their own interest.
Right. So, Hassan, we just caught you and the cameras caught you laughing at what, Richard Ahiagba has been saying. In fact, he says that if they see any military officer, any person in military uniform at the by-election, they will deal with that person, treat that person some way, because there's no supposed to be military people there. What's happening? I'm trying to understand what's going on.
Samson, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning to you and my fellow panelists, and then good morning to the good and virtuous people of Gushegu, who I believe are watching me from home. So, Samson, the question that you asked, I was laughing not just because of what Richard Ahiagba is saying, but because of some history of what we know about Richard Jakpa, about some of the Rambo-style activities that he has engaged in since this government came into being. And so when I hear some of these stories, I'm like, okay, the more things change, the more they remain the same. So how is it that the IGP would announce that the police is going to be fully in charge of security of any and everything that has to do with Akwatia, and that they are deploying about 5,500 men, approximately one police for 10, voters in Akwatia, because the voter population is about 52,000, if my numbers are correct. So that's about 10 voter per police, and that's even way too much. And we are being told that the military is also surreptitiously doing some activities under the leadership of Richard Jakpa. Now, if you have regard to what has transpired previously, the rerun in Ablekuma North and some of the violence that took place, and you go back to even Chereponi, you go back to Ayawaso, West Wagon, and even that same Akwatia itself, when we were going to do the rerun in about 9 polling stations sometime in 2009, you find that almost invariably the violent situations that we have seen looks like it's likely to repeat itself if care is not taken. Now, we need to do something about this situation. If the police is in charge, the police must be seen
to be fully in charge. And if the IGP has given assurance that the police, without involving any other security agency, is going to be fully in charge, then any other person who comes there must necessarily, be cleared by the IGP, first of all. And that clearance must be made known to the constituents and Ghanaians in general, that the IGP has varied his position that it's only the police that's going to be responsible for these elections, so that we know that the military are going to be deployed on the day of election. Otherwise, what Richard Ayagba is saying is that if this is what the case is, the official position is what the IGP has communicated, it only means that if we find people wearing custom uniform, prison uniform, fire service uniform, military uniform, it's likely that these guys are going to be imposters. So we must take the law into our hands to protect the ballot. That is essentially what Richard Jakpa is saying. I'm not too sure whether that is the best. Richard Anyagba is saying. I'm not too sure that is the best situation, but he said that when you've been bitten by a snake before, anything that you find, that is clearly looking like a snake would put you, on clear inquiry to be alert that, look, what has happened to you before is likely to happen to you again. So I think that having regard to meetings that have been held between the Electoral Commission, the police, more or less IPAC and the parties, we have to stick to the ground rules, stick to the roadmap, and ensure that this election will be clearly different from what we have taken Ghanaians through in the past, couple of years. Since the by-elections that we have taken.
Since you have endorsed what Richard Anyagba said.
No, I've not endorsed what Richard Anyagba is saying. I'm saying that we need clarity now. Because what Richard Anyagba is saying is that IGP says that we are going to have only police on the ground. Now, if we are going to have only police on the ground, what is the military doing?
Okay, you're repeating something you said. He did not only make a statement. He said that the NPP has its intel. And the intel is that the national security under Richard Jakpa's direction are in there to cause mayhem. He actually said that they had, gotten people to leave their homes.
Yes.
And molested people and so on.
To live in their own interest.
And you say that the military is doing something surreptitiously under the leadership of Richard Jakpa. That's what you just said.
Exactly.
Okay. So you know the way you know the way I do my stuff here.
Of course, I know.
Okay. And you are a lawyer. So the name of the game is evidence.
That's right.
Can the NPP or yourself point us to a scintilla of evidence to support these very wild, serious claims?
Oh, that shouldn't be a problem. We have our people on the ground in Akwatia, and I'm sure as we sit in this studio, if I request for it, I would be giving the evidence and I will share it with you. But what is important is that we must recognize
the people they have asked to leave their homes and so on. Have you heard any one person in that constituency complain that this is what has happened to them?
You see, Samson, they won't get the benefit of coming to Newsfile, or they won't get the benefit of going on radio or TV. It's only when we do our door-to-door, and that's what we do. We don't just mass up people to do mass rallies. We go to their various homes, and then we listen to their concerns.
And some of them, people would have been taken under such treatment, and they would be quiet in Akwatia. They would not have spoken up.
And that's why they have reported to us, and we are just anchoring, the voices of the people.
They are reporting to you. They are not talking to the media about it.
But on the ground in Akwatia, these are matters that are openly being discussed. So maybe in Accra, we don't even realize what's going on in Akwatia, but there's a lot going on the grounds in Akwatia.
Okay,
there's a lot of
obviously you can't get any evidence from you guys. But what I need you to tell me is when you say touch base with the military is there doing something surreptitious under the leadership of Richard Jakpa, what exactly is this they are doing?
What it is they're doing is that they are moving with their vehicles, all right, on the ground and moving from place to place, one committee to the other, in clear military uniforms, all right? So, you know, when it comes to elections, the election architecture is such that the police is primarily responsible. It's only when police call in the military or they call national security for reinforcement that we find the military joining. But in this case, we have not even started the election.
So
what is going to happen is that
you admit that
on the day of election,
the police can call in the military. So what do you say to Richard Anyagba, who says if they see any military officer, they will treat him? So I can't repeat his own words, and so on and so forth.
The last communication we heard from the IGP is that the police will be solely responsible for this election. The IGP has not said anything to the contrary. So it stands to reason that the IGP's earlier position stands. So any other thing that is contrary to what the IGP says would be deemed to be flouting even the police regulations.
Okay, you hold on.
So we want to see a situation where the IGP himself will speak to the Ghanaian media and then Ghanaian people and the people of Akwatia to expect this or the other.
Okay, so Rashid Tanko, what will you say about this? And sometimes things like this are difficult for journalists like myself because it's difficult to be repeating things that are said, that are serious, and there's no evidence to it. And you would have realized when I got into this issue with Reverend Tim Fojo, that issue has died. He's not brought his evidence up, right? Just a couple of weeks ago, is it Asefwa also lied, and the media still had to project the lie, even when they knew the fact. But tell me, what is it that you guys are doing in Akwatia?
Very well. Samson, let me say good morning.
Tell you what you are doing.
Good morning to you and my colleague panelists here. And good morning to my good people, Bimbila and constituency. I wish them well. This is Damba Festival. I'll invite you, Samson, to come and join us.
Right.
In Bimbila to dance the Damba. You see, NPP, I don't understand them. And Ghanaians will not understand them. I'm not surprised they've gotten massive defeats in 2024. We all met the IGP. In fact, I was part of the team that met the IGP on Tuesday. We met the Election Security Task Force. Samson, when we talk of National Election Security Task Force, it is not only the police. It comprises the military, immigration service, fire service, customs, as well as national security is also involved. Then the Electoral Commission. This is a composition of the National Election Security Task Force. But the lead body is the police. They normally take the lead. If there's a need for the other agencies to come and support them, then they will invite them to come in. So when you are talking of National Election Security Task Force, you shouldn't zero it to only police. That is a mistake. That is why the problem I'm having with the NPP. They've ruled this country for 8 years, and they knew all along this setup. Now, when we met them, and interestingly enough, the leader of the NPP team at that meeting was the former interior minister. And they even have a senior police officer who just retired joining them, Ofori. I'm sure you know of it. And we had a very beautiful discussion over there. The police gave us their roadmap, their deployment plan, their strategy and everything. And they raised some issues. The NPP raised it. They said they don't trust the police. We're all shocked because saying at that meeting that you don't trust the police, a police that you just left with us 8 months ago, of which the deputy IGP then has been elevated to be the IGP. No new person has taken over. The same commanders are still there and all that. And you say you don't trust them. Well, enough, that's their cup of tea. Now, after all this deliberation and the raised issue about Ablekuma, then the IGP indicated that the reason why we are sending these 5,000 is for your own interest, to make sure that we protect life and property and allow peaceful process to go through. Now, we pledge our support to the police and told them that, yes, fair enough. For us, we are noted for always supporting you to deliver a peaceful election. We did it at Kumeu, we did it at Sinov. At that time, we didn't deploy our own internal security. We didn't bring in boys to come and say they are coming to protect them because we don't trust the police. We had issues with the EC, and of which we have not changed our position. So we said, fine, no problem. So we went in. And interestingly enough, Council I mentioned something to my colleagues MPP that the problem we have with the MPP when it comes to election management is that they don't train their people. They are functionaries who are supposed to man the polling stations. They don't train them. So when they come on election day, they ask ignorance questions that raise tensions at the polling stations.
That's an unfair comment.
No, we said it was.
Both of you engage in very rigorous training for your election officials.
I'll give you reasons. I'll give you reasons why. You know Ablekumanov, on the day, that polling station, I was interviewed by your people on that fateful day when the issue of my sister Hawa Kumsun came up. You know what triggered the problem? She came at the polling station and was asking them, why is it that NPP has only one polling agent here? That it was a plan to rig the election. She didn't even know that it's parliamentary election. You can't deploy two party agents for parliamentary elections, one. If it is parliamentary and presidential, you deploy two, one for presidential, one parliamentary. So ostensibly, she didn't know this. And she was not even accredited to be at that polling station. She didn't have any accreditation. And she had offensive weapon in her bag, pepper spray. So she had premeditated, the lawyers will even say, of what she was coming to do there. So that was an issue that triggered all this problem because people were trying to answer. So I would say, no, this time around, yes, we know they have fine experts of election management among them, NPP. I know them very well. We've dealt with each other, and I know their knowledge in terms of elections and all that. But people that they are going to deploy to be their observers and party agents, they should make time to train them well. That's what we invested in doing. Now, on Wednesday, I am the lead. In fact, I'm the officer in charge of operational.
And I think you should not be repeating that comment because it's unfair. Yes. And you have demonstrated that it's unfair.
Yes.
Because you are talking about how Yakubu, who comes in and how comes in, who is not a party election official.
Of course.
And the party election official trained to be there was there. So even if that is the case, don't use that situation to generalize to say that they don't train their party officials well.
Now, I'll give you reasons why I'm saying this.
Let's move on to this. Let's move on to Akwatia.
So the Akwatia...
We have seen footages where you see, they say it is coming from Akwatia, where you see Richard Japa, obviously, with national security on the grounds.
I'll explain that to you. That's what I was coming to. I said on Wednesday morning, we had DIPAC meeting in Akwatia. From the operation officer of the elections management in the Akwatia. Because of your program that I came down. When we met, we told them we were going to train our party agents on that day. So we zoned the constituency into 4. And we're using the churches and classrooms to do the training. Then by evening time, a press conference was held by Richard Ahiaba, indicating that NDC was training tax. In the press conference, they stated that we're training tax to put on a military dress and other uniform to cause mayhem and other things. So where from this? The training, I even put it on my timeline. 2 pictures, we were holding pink sheets and we're going through the nuances of elections and all that, so that they will understand the processes very well on Tuesday. Then you go and say we're training tax. So when they do things like this, they're hyping the tension unnecessarily. Or several the police or everybody, it's public places. So Richard Ahiaba didn't get his information right by saying that the NDC was training tax. We were training our party agents, of which we made it very clear that we will make sure that we invest in training our party agents, our officials who are going to man, because they easily told us the number of accreditation they are going to give us, and then all that. If you don't have the accreditation,
now to the presence of
then
Japa.
The issue of Japa came in, and we said, this one is national security matter. Richard Japa is a director of operation in charge of special duties at the National Security Secretariat. That is his work. We don't speak for them. But interestingly enough, they had rep at the meeting. And that they also have another operation in the constituency because there's Galamsey ongoing in that constituency. And the military had been dead long since before even the death of the MP, fighting the Galamsey. So they have a different operation altogether that they are doing in the constituency. Even when I went there and we met them, we saw that there was 2 dirty, essentially coming from the forest. That shows that they are just there for different operations, not for the election. And the IGP told us, yes, he has not invited any military for now. So for now, we don't have any military presence. If you see military there, then they might be doing different things, like what you are saying. Japa does operations, special duties. And so his special duties has nothing to do with our elections. It could be of different matter that they are in there. But you see, well, they will see you also say it's circumstantial evidence. Lawyers, that's why you say.
What a coincidence.
So, well, that's why you say the coincidence. They have been there, they are doing it for, they started doing this long since. He went there several before the MP.
So, Rashid, hold on for me. Hassan, if there is military there, what could they be used to do?
You know, if you have contested the election before, and then my brother, Tanko Computer, will tell you, the military can do a whole lot.
Tell us, what can they do?
It's difficult for me I don't want to impugn the integrity of the military on TV, but I think that
you have suspicion, and you use the word they are. Military is doing something surreptitiously under the leadership of
exactly
Japan.
What they were doing, but a lot goes on.
Like what?
A lot goes on in terms of intimidation. All right.
So they will come at the polling station and say, "Don't go and vote. You don't vote. Or take the ballot box away." What would they do?
By the balance of the force, the security forces, the military, with greater respect to the other security services, is seen to be in a very elevated position. They are better trained, as far as Ghanaians know, and they are in a position to intimidate you with even just one look. So sometimes, even with the military presence, some people will not even come out to vote. I'm telling you for a fact. Especially in the rural area. There are some people, when they see the military, they won't come out. You understand? That's why, to all intents and purposes, the military is kept out. Unless, of course, there is an attempt to threaten the peace.
So holding a press conference,
then the military
holding a press conference and making all the commentary and all of that is to say that we don't want the military to show up and look at people, because if they do, people will not vote. Is that it?
Oh, no. That's not exactly what I'm saying. I said that the things that the military can do, I'm not able to say it on TV, but I'm just saying that for some people, merely even seeing the military is threat enough for them not to come out. All right? Of course, beyond seeing the military, they would have been told that, look, if you come, what's his name?
Complete that statement.
Mustafa Bandi.
They would have been told that what?
Mustafa Bandi, for instance, what did he say?
No, complete
that statement. He said that. Oh no, I'm just listening with what Mustafa Bandi said. He said that they are going to make sure that some people will be arrested if they come to the place. In fact, I mean, why would you say such a thing, that they are waiting to arrest some people, and when they show up in Akwatia, they will be arrested?
You didn't complete that statement. You said the military would be told that they should do what?
No. The military, like I said, their presence is enough. What the people will be told behind the scenes will be reinforced by the presence of the military. So you will be told something, and the minute you see the military, you know that, what we have been told is likely to manifest.
I see.
You run into your rooms.
I see. Okay.
So I wanted to help my brother here. He raised the issue of the arrest Mustafa Bandi. That matter was raised during the Election Security Task Force by the Honorable former Minister of Interior.
That was on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, he asked the IGP whether he has a list of names that he's going to arrest at Akwatia. Should they appear? And then we raised objection there. We said no. That platform was not for that issue, because Mustafa didn't say the police will arrest former appointees when they appear there. He said the state will arrest, and the police is not the only body mandated to arrest. I'm sure you know this.
Will arrest who?
Former appointees who are being looked for. That other agencies are looking for them to come and answer certain charges. Some of them are declared fugitive. They are out of the jurisdiction.
Say, imagine
that if they appear in Akwatia, the state will look for them and arrest them there. And so the IGP agreed and said yes, for him, he doesn't have any list to arrest. But if other agencies are also looking for people to arrest and they come in there, they cannot stop them from carrying out their.
Okay. Now, hold on. I'll return to you guys, but let me come to Sule and Dr. Yankson. And Sule, I'll begin on this note. Your namesake, Suleiman Isifu, says, if we need to militarize our elections this way in order to make them peaceful, then we are nowhere being a democratic country. To be brutally honest, we are only basking in ancient platitudes with no real evidence to show for our progress. This is evident when one compares Ghana with its peers like Singapore and Malaysia. We have electoralized our democracy, meaning we have reduced democracy to just elections. And even with that, we need massive security to make them a success. For starters, by-elections are too costly and must be cancelled. Parties should be allowed to fill in candidates. But the first part of it, that we need as many as 5,500 police officers for this by-election. What does it make you feel as a Ghanaian?
Well, I think that for me, first of all, it's an indication of the deterioration of our democratic standards. And going forward, the prospects of viability of our democracy going forward. I think we've always made the point that, at least for once, under the Fourth Republican Constitution, we have had stability for the last more than 3 decades, and we would want to see our democracy growing. But unfortunately, it appears to me that, to many Ghanaians, of course, that we are retrogressing rather than progressing. I think it is rather really shocking. We are going into a by-election of 119 polling stations with 52,328 persons, one constituency. And our parties have succeeded in reducing...
In a by-election, you may not get 50%.
Yes.
Very likely.
Yes. Our parties, our two main parties, have succeeded in reducing this to be seen as if we are going for a battle, and it's about who is going to win the battle. I think the mistrust is just too much, and I don't know what the source is. I believe that Honorable Tampoli and my friend Rashid here perhaps know, but someone like me not being in politics, is difficult for me to understand. Because if for nothing at all, I think somebody here made a point, and I think it was Rashid, that in terms of the police being the lead security agency when it comes to elections management, we have a situation where ahead of the 2024 elections, the government then appointed the current IGP, then COP Yohonu, as Deputy Inspector General of Police. That did not raise questions for many.
In charge of
what
operations.
did was the designation that they gave him in charge of operations. And people were like, this is the first time that we are hearing of a Deputy IGP being appointed and being designated for a specific role.
The intention was that he was to supplant Akufo Dampare, who was being fair.
Exactly.
And was not malleable.
Exactly. That I believe.
You have evidence for.
No. That I believe was a perception, and it was not only
the intention as we were told.
It was not only a perception.
Right.
In fact, it was one of the very critical issues that was raised in the ECOWAS election pre-election mission that visited Ghana. In their report, if you read it, they said there is so much concern about the appointment of a deputy IGP in charge of operations. And many people, many Ghanaians interpret that to mean the government wants to sort of override the functions of the IGP because they think he's too firm and all of that.
And that again was being attributed to the Asin by-election.
That was actually before.
Just camped out of.
That was actually before. Yes, before Asin North.
There was something that triggered it.
When the international pre-election mission visited, the conclusion they had was that the IGP was very firm, was quite independent, and the ruling government was not happy with that. That is the conclusion they drew. Whether that was true or not, no one knows. You remember somebody even went to court about the designation of IGP Yohonu, then Deputy IG Yohonu, and whether legally he could have been designated as Deputy IG in charge of operations. And others even raised the questions, are we going to now have Deputy IG operations, Deputy IG administration, Deputy IG this, and so on and so forth. So if he was trusted that much and could be assigned that role about 6 months into elections, and today that person is at the helm of affairs, why should there be some mistrust about what he promises that we are going to deliver the election under a peaceful atmosphere? I think it is about the politicians and perhaps what their real intentions are that maybe we have to explore to know. Otherwise, I believe that if the NPP had won the elections, and even if Dampare was still the IGP, I'm sure a lot of the things that Honorable Tampuli is saying here would have been said by my colleague here, Mr. Rashid.
He's been saying that already.
Because it's like when you are in opposition, you don't trust any state institution. It is the same police administration.
How would you like the media, because you're a media trainer in the country and beyond the country, how would you like the media to report such press conferences where a party comes out to say, we know of ABC, and they won't give any evidence to it. They won't show you any small thing that points to giving credence to what they are trying to say. And they will say, when they were asked, when Ahiagba was asked, he said, oh, you want me to disclose that to you? We're holding it to our chest. How do you want the media to cover such? Because as the both of them agree, this kind of rhetoric heightens tensions unnecessarily.
No, I think that's also part of the problem we have, where the media seem to be prepared to basically serve as megaphones for whatever statements that are made by politicians. Whatever is said, let's blow it. Whatever is said, let's put it out there. I think elsewhere that is not what is done. You will regret for making baseless statements, for making statements without evidence, because you'll be confronted and you'll be exposed. But here, maybe we are in a rush to put out whatever is being said there. And I think going forward, we need to encourage our colleagues to always demand the evidence. Why do you say it? What is the basis? And before they go for such press conferences, especially if they know the issues, they should have read about it.
For example, the man told them, we have it, but we'll keep it to our chest. We won't give it to you. What is the journalist supposed to do in that circumstance?
But why do you then organize a press conference? You are organizing a press conference to tell us what? If you have information that you don't want to disclose to us, you are only inviting us to speculate to us, for us to carry your speculation.
So they shouldn't publish the speculation?
I don't think so. Unless you have the evidence, unless you have concrete something to say. You don't invite me and tell me I have the evidence, I won't give it to you, but go and publish my speculation. How do you expect the media to do that?
Hold on there. Dr. Jansen and Smart Sapon is also on. We'll get to him on the part of the, call it the statistical prediction games that is going on, because that's an area that he's comfortable with. So, again, comments like, when we see a military officer, we will deal with that person because the IGP says it is police that's going to do it. I don't know how you take them.
Well, I think, let me just start with where Sule ended. I think ultimately, the media should also take a certain position. That look, the integrity of this country, the overall peace and all of it depends on us. And we know what radio, television, media generally has done in terms of its contribution to some negative bits in other countries. So when the stakes are high, the tensions are high, I think it would just be fair that the media personnel are able to filter the chaff from the real substance and distill and ensure that we are not fed with unsubstantiated allegations, things that are clearly not to be, in quote, echoed loudly for others to hear, to stir up emotions and all of it. And I think the media should also do that self-introspection and begin to take certain hardline, stance against some of these unsubstantiated and biased things that generally don't bring cohesion. I think we need to do that. And the GJA, I'm sure, is in a very right position to engage members. I know that the media itself now, if you look at the landscape, and we are beginning to have NPP, NDC media persons.
We are beginning, is that what you said?
Oh, we have. Let me put it that way. So it's as if some people will always want to push out things that will favor one party or the other. But ultimately, the consequences, as and when they happen and it's negative, will affect all of us.
But the presence of Japa in the constituency, is it not curious to you?
To be honest with you, it's very curious. And when Tanko, went on and said, look, he may be doing special duties and he's been there back and forth, I'm like, is Akwatia the only constituency where Galamsey exists? And based on what Tanko said, definitely he's been there more than once. The question I will ask is, all the Galamsey sites in Ghana, has he visited all those places more than once?
He did.
And no, you see, you were talking about over the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, he keeps going in and out. I don't think under standard operations, Galamsey in Akwatia will be so paramount that he will go there countless times within a space of 2 to 3 weeks. And the coincidence, you see, yes, genuinely he may be working, but sometimes when you put all the circumstantial bits together, you question certain things that are being said. And that is the truth. Yes, he may be there doing 1 or 2 operations, but is it the case that those operations can only happen within this period when tensions are so high and everybody is talking against the use of the military in our elections?
As a lead operations person at national security, every election is a national security issue. And so they need to scope the place and be sure of things before police will call them when they have to come.
That would be fair, but not under the guise of we are doing Galamsey operations, as Tanko is saying. It is standard practice that the intelligence agencies will swoop and make sure that, look, things are right. If you go to the military, they will tell you that the recce team is ahead to go and make sure. So those bits, I think, are standard practice. And usually, sometimes when some of these things are happening, you might not even see them in full-blown military outfits. 1 or 2 could be, in their uniforms, but most of them might even be undercover to make sure that they are getting the right information and all of it. But not the obvious ones where you can see that there's a certain show of force. And like Hassan said, we know the roles that the military have played and some of the things that can actually happen within the process. So I think that they need to de-escalate and ensure that there is peace in that region.
I'll read this message without naming the source. I think the IGP was wrong in saying the military will not be involved in the Akwatia elections. What he should have said, in reality, is that the military will be on standby, deployed close to Akwatia so that in case there is violence which involves firearms, then the military will be invited by the police to intervene. The key issue is that the police must invite the military when the situation gets out of hand, and that they will not deploy on their own. Let's remember that when there is outbreak of violence, it becomes a national security issue. And I said I will not disclose who is sharing with me, is because these are people who are up there in the security architecture and saying that the IGP may have misspoken by saying that, it's just police job.
In fact, Samson, I was just going to come to that point just before you read what you read. If you even look at the rules, there is a point at which the military guys can be called upon. And it's been rightly outlined, so I don't need to go back and explain those things. So sometimes the communication or the narrative when some of these things are happening are also very important. And if the IGP may have spoken in a certain way, nothing prevents, others from coming in to let everybody understand that, yes, this was said, but in the scheme of things, when it comes to the worst case scenarios, there are times that we may have to fall on the military. Looking at the numbers of police who are currently there, averagely, we are doing about 6 police officers for one polling station. And I think this might be a record as far as Ghana is concerned. I don't remember ever getting these huge figures anywhere.
It's almost 10.
No, the police station.
The police station.
46.
Exactly.
You see, we are talking about
exactly.
119, 120 police stations.
Yes.
So when you divide the 5,500 by that number,
easily.
Of course, even if they decide to deploy some in the communities, the numbers that will be at the polling stations will be such that if our police, as we all know, are well trained and sometimes they have specialized, units amongst them, what have you, then their presence alone is more than good enough. Because looking at the numbers, I wonder if that would be so inadequate such that they wouldn't be able to maintain
with
peace
that kind of numbers, and I asked that question to Sule earlier, and in my introduction, I asked my audience to tell me if they thought this was a banana republic. How do you feel that you need such numbers?
You see, it's unfortunate. But
for a small by-election, so
it's
to speak.
unfortunate, but it's self-inflicted because NDC MPP politics has basically divided the entire country. And sometimes we are so polarized such that the least thing, you see what will happen. So maybe the IGP and his team have gathered enough intelligence on the ground, and per their operational manuals and what they know best, they think that this is the best way to prevent any unforeseen, or wanted chaos out there.
Yeah, so my question is that situation that they feel that they need these numbers. What's the commentary about it, about your country?
No, that's exactly what I'm coming to. That it tells us that, look, as a people, we've lost our way. We've gotten it all wrong because one by-election, the stakes are not even that so high, except that NDC may get an absolute 2/3.
Don't they have it already?
They already have 2/3.
So what is it? What is it? What is it that makes it so crucial that we need to marshal all these personnel, look at the resources we are spending and what have you? When we get to the other side, you see how hospitals and schools and all of it are suffering. So we've lost our way, and the narrative out there is not the best for us. Let's accept the fact that, look, we need to de-escalate and make sure.
Do you recall how many polling stations were at stake at Ablikmanov recently? And you see what the parties did?
Yeah.
Samson.
They turned the place to a war zone, bloodshed. Thankfully, how many of them? 8 of the people or so, how many of them have been convicted? Yes. And they've been what?
On the wrist.
Slap on the wrist for 6,000 cedis. 6,000 cedis.
So what you have to do is to make sure that you go and cause maximum damage, maximum harm, inflict violence on people, and then you come and pay 6,000.
So you guys,
do something that you put aside.
So you guys, and you are my very good friend. You see your problem when MPP tax descended on a court, on a judge. Do you remember how much they were made to pay? When we said it was a slap on the wrist, you guys said, hell no, we can't be saying that. Why do you say that to this situation?
Samson, did we reset to go back to what was happening before, or we reset to set better examples? I mean, really, if I have to do some of these things and I know that I can just put 10,000 aside, knowing very well that I can inflict maximum harm on anybody, and then I'll go and pay 10,000 cedis, then where's the deterrence? So if it hadn't happened before, we are now justifying why it should happen. So that maybe next time it happens again, we'll justify and say, oh, some people attack the court. Something, let's make progress.
No,
in fact, let me just make this quick point. When I mention something about...
Let me go to Professor Smart Sapon. Prof, in Asin North, as I understand, we deployed 7,000 police personnel, right? I don't know how else to ask the question, because it's you can see my bias already that this is very terrible. I don't feel safe in such a country. I don't know what you think.
Right. Samson, a very good morning to your good self, to the team in studio, and then to our cherished listeners and viewers. You are right, but I agree with the just ended speaker that it is self-inflicted. Ablekuma North with just 6 polling stations, and you see how some thugs overpowered the police available. What it meant was that if there was going to be an expanded election like we have at Akwatia, the police would have to, with the lessons learned from Ablekuma, just 6 polling stations, the police would have to quadruple, or if you like, move the entire police service there. So if 6 would lead us to the chaos we saw in Ablekuma North, then 120 polling stations will mean that they may need to. I even want to believe that, aside the numbers we are mentioning, they have standby teams ready to be deployed in the event that those who are at the polling stations will be overpowered. So it is self-inflicted. They are not going to change anytime soon. The law sometimes deals with them softly, very, very softly sometimes. And so they are not deterred enough, and I'm afraid it is not going to end anytime soon. And then the police will be blamed at the end. So they would want to clear their name this time by increasing the numbers to the numbers we are mentioning. And I have added that I am very, very sure that there will be some team standby in adjoining constituencies or at the regional head office, ready to move in to beef up the numbers if situations get chaotic. So something, as much as we are all not happy about.
So what would be your brief prescription? What we should be doing? Because we cannot continue to say these things and throw our hands in despair and say, well, that's what it is. It's getting worse. It won't change, as you are saying. We can't watch the politicians, cause the demise of this state.
Anyway, the prescriptions will come perhaps when the actors, the stakeholders are ready to take them, because there's been many stakeholders who have prescribed very, very interesting solutions to some of these things. But, they will sit in workshops and pretend to have listened to the prescription. But trust me, immediately you leave. Because check the 2024 elections. They went into meeting. They said they were not going to involve the military until necessary. And so one political party, the Npp, precisely says that he took off all his self-trained security men. And before the party realized, the other party has brought in its own tax, who we saw in some of your videos you shared with us, overpowering even the army. In Obuasi, we saw some tax trying to take over or take possession the gun of the military man. So they simply would listen to when you prescribe, but trust me, when the opportunity comes, they will do worse than you even expect.
Okay, so let's go to this area where you are more comfortable about. The Global Info Analytics projects Bernard Baidu, the NDC's candidate, to secure at least 53%, as against Solomon K. Asumadu of the NPP, 47%. I'm not sure you have done some work in this area as you did in the main election, but what do you see?
Right. So it is a good work. It gives an incursion or an impression of the likely to happen. But the reality, as we all know, would be activities that political parties undertake leading up to the main day, and who has a good day. If all the expected voters should turn out to vote, and the work done by the two political parties gets into its fullness, then we would have the actuals and compare with the predicted. As we all know, this is a sample survey, and it only gives an impression of the possible outcome. When political parties intensify their work and they are able to turn things around, the actuals may differ from the predicted. But if they lose their guard or perhaps throw their research work away, do not act on it and sit aloof, perhaps the predicted may be confirmed. So it is a good exercise. It gives the stakeholders an impression of what could happen. But again, it gives them opportunity to also work hard. If you are told that you are trailing, then you may need to double up your activities.
Victory in Akwatia for the NDC doesn't make any difference. They already have 2/3 majority, absolute majority in parliament. They can do any and everything they need to do in parliament. So why do you think they seem to, be working so hard to get this place as well?
Samson, it's interesting if anybody thinks that if NDC loses in Akwatia, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't affect. It does affect them big time. All right.
How?
So you are a government who won an election few months ago overwhelmingly, and it is interpreted to mean that you have the goodwill of the people. If you lose elections 8 months into your goodwill, what it means is that your goodwill is diminishing at a very, very astronomical rate.
How exactly is that for a constituency where the government did not win?
So in by-elections, the lead campaign message, the most useful or good campaign message will be development, all right? So you would say that this constituency needs development, and that if you should take an opposition MP, he may suffer in lobbying, but if you take me, a government MP, I may not suffer much to get the needed development you need to you, even though in many instances it has turned out not to materialize the way it gets promised.
No, my question was that you said the effect will be a big deal. And I'm asking that this is not a constituency that is for the ruling party. So if they go there to try to annex it and they don't get it, why should it be a big deal?
We are here. You would see the feedback that would come if NDC should lose. If NDC should lose, what it means is that all the promises that they are telling them now are things that people do not trust. Because if they do trust in the promises, you are in government and you are in the best position to deliver on the promises you are giving us. If we still turn you down, what it means is that we do not trust the promises you are giving us. Of course, it will also mean that the other party, the Npp, has done its homework well, and they've now been able to sell a very winnable campaign message and all those things. So it's plus or minus, but to the government, it's not going to be that of, no big deal.
Okay. Can I get a quick comment on this from you so we can conclude on this subject? I'll get my guests to also say a word about that. There have been proposals championed by persons like Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, who is currently chairing the Constitution Review Committee work. I think Professor Kweku Asare is also one who supports that view. There are others who also say it's a good thing to do. Do you support this proposition or not? That when there is a situation like death or something like this for an MP, the party that holds the seat should simply be allowed to nominate a person to replace their MP rather than go through an election.
200%. 200%. I mean, if it's
200% in support, okay.
In support, yes, in support. It fits into our traditional system where we have some special respect for the dead. And you see what NPP have done in Tamale North. It doesn't mean they won't be competing for Tamale North, Tamale Central ever. But what it means is that under the circumstances, they wouldn't want to compete.
But some will say that may be a different, kettle of fish. When the party say I'm not contesting, sometimes they are afraid of something. They know that it's just not doable, and so they don't have to waste their resources, particularly if you are an opposition party. So, guys, quickly, just about in a minute, let's speak to the Constitution Review Committee. Should they effect such an amendment? Yes, Sule, starting with you.
Well, I think it will be a laudable thing to do. It saves us the resources. It saves us all this panic. It saves us all this debate about security there or soldiers not there. The point is, if you take Akwatia, for example, just about, let's say 8 months ago or 9 months ago, the people in the area decided that they wanted the late Kumi to lead them. Now, there are two dimensions to it. It could be that Kumi was the person they liked, and coincidentally, Kumi was in the MPP. Or it could be that whoever had been the MPP's candidate would have won because the majority of the people in that constituency wanted MPP to represent them in parliament. So I think the logic behind the proposal is that, look, if a constituency decides that this is the person that we want to represent us in parliament, and that person is on the ticket of this particular party, if the person passes on, let there be internal elections and the party replaces whoever was their representative in parliament. And as I said, I think it saves us the whole thing about the resources and all. But the other side of it is to say, look, people may have voted but regretted.
Okay.
And say, oh, if I knew, I would have gone this way.
I was taking just a minute's comments from you guys. And the deceased MP, NSCL Kumi, he sat by exams. Yeah. The results came yesterday and he actually passed.
He's number 16 on the list.
He's number 16 on the list. Oh, okay. Yes. Rashid Tanko, what do you say?
Well, is it
a good idea?
No, I totally disagree. The framers of our 1992 Constitution and the reading of the Representation of People Act talks about representation. It didn't talk about political parties representation. It's about representation of the people. Are we going to elbow out independent people? Is that what we are trying to do? The people want somebody to represent them. You are not a political person. Your community wants you. They think that you can do a good job. So because you don't belong to NDC, you don't belong to MPP, you don't go to parliament. Is that what we are trying to do? I disagree. If you look at the Representation of the People Act, I think they thought through that and put that in there. And as Kumi represented...
And the respected law teacher, Clara Berry Kasati, also with the CDD, agrees with you. She says, I disagree with the view that when an MP dies, the party holding the position should choose a rep. My reasons are as follows, including one, what if it is an independent seat?
That is what I was looking at. So we have to look at it. Maybe we have to look at the modalities, the CI very well. If you look at the CI, maybe we can tweak it a bit to save the purpose we are looking at, but not to elbow out other interest parties that will be interested in this. But there was one thing I wanted to bring to your notice. When we are talking about the security of the place, why the IGP is deploying this large number. We just saw something yesterday. They nearly attacked my national chairman and our candidate at a funeral. Grounds of
1 week observation.
1 week observation.
Okay.
That was terrible.
Yes, Dr. Yancey, what do you also say? Clara says it defeats the entire principle of representation. The purpose of electing an MP is for the people to decide whether they want the specific candidate.
In fact, I agree with Clara. I was going to say the same thing. Look, what if it's an independent candidate? Then the other side...
will go for elections.
No, hold on. Kindly hold on. The other side of it is that, if you look at the nature of the parliamentary seats, sometimes you realize that there's a clear-cut, what we call in Ghana, skirt and blouse voting. So the presidential candidate who probably even became the president in that particular constituency will lose. But
the MP candidate
will win or lose.
And we won the Akwatia presidential.
So it tells you that there's a certain element of preference for a specific person. They live in the community. They know who represents who.
Right.
So I think that, yes, if you look at one side of it, cost and the tensions and what have you, but if you look at the nitty-gritties properly, because we are talking about the representation, if we allow a party to force somebody who the people don't like on them, I think that could also be problematic.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I think that I agree partly to the proposal that we should have the party replace the person. But first of all, the party sponsors the candidate, all right? So I am on the ticket of the MPP because the MPP is sponsoring me. I'm not an independent candidate. So it stands to reason that the party can replace, a person who is deceased. That is one. Now,
I believe that it will be a prudent thing to do if the candidate is diseased and the person is coming from one political party or the other. Then we can make a general rule. This is it. But we can do the exceptions. If the by-election has arisen due to resignation or removal from office by reason of disqualification and so on and so forth, then we can do, otherwise it will be difficult for us, especially in the case of our independents. What do? Do we get somebody else from the family?
But
or
independent we are talking about? In this parliament, how many independent MPs are there?
No, but we've had
of course, but we have had them. In fact, how many are there? Oh, we have about four. Yes. We have we have A plus.
Okay.
And then,
all right. Okay. So, but is the prayer of all of you that on is it Tuesday?
Tuesday.
That Tuesday things will go smoothly.
Let me just land.
Okay.
I think that the people of Akwatia will retain the MPP in office to honor the memory of Honorable N.S. Yaokumi, because the gentleman contested the 2020 elections and lost narrowly. But this is a seat that is predominantly MPP. Anytime MPP is winning, we win big. NDC won it 92, 96, slim margin, but the real time was 2008. They won with 617 votes. Baba Jamal. 2012, he won with 294 votes. And then when we won in 2016, we won by 5,528 difference. Again, we won again in 2024 with the difference of 2,063 votes. You see, once MPP is winning, we win big. The areas that the times that the MPP lost, those times you find out there were internal problems, especially 20 for instance, Amase's issue, for instance. It is predominantly MPP, and the MPP will retain this seat.
Okay,
on the second
we'll take a break here. What's your disagreement about the 2,000 difference?
You lose. Dr.
Tanko,
you call me at 6.
What's your disagreement with the 2,000 difference he's talking about?
Because that was the basis upon which we filed the election petition at the which has
been pending.
Yes, which has been pending.
No, it's not
pending. It only got moved to when he died. Well, we're still going to exhibit pink sheets where they rigged the election of about 27 polling stations that accounted to the 2,000 votes they are talking about. They didn't have it.
Yeah.
So they don't have the luxury.
But you have a difficult job, right?
It's difficult for you.
No, now we are leading by 53%.
No.
According to
the polls is giving us an indication that we are ahead. In terms of what
2 weeks ago, somebody was ahead.
All right. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back to ask questions about the Npp flag bearer race. We'll ask questions about that one too. Another area that if you are a Ghanaian who pays attention, you will be demoralized by the money that is invested. They are just going for primaries, internal parties. And have you heard what one of the candidates has said? That he paid each delegate $1,200 or $500 for the previous elections. Just delegates. Okay, we'll be right back. But the question I put in my introduction was that, do you really think that all the blame that is being heaped on Dr. Bawumia that he performed abysmally, is it really fair? Was the election a verdict on the Akufo-Addo regime's performance, or it was Dr. Bawumia? Is it possible that a different candidate would have fared worse than Dr. Bawumia did? We'll be right back.
Still, Misaka, and Namu was a summer brabo, and it can afford Swab brabo.
Misaka pensions, Carol.
Mesaka order sika.
Mesaka insurance no.
Mesaka loan.
Momo fogusuri ye echumaden. Di aboye nyina ye sika ho ban. Se MTN ana momo jumaye ni befrewa. Or the 0244 300,000 ene befrew. Na numpo orin bitsaw one time password. Ana se upin code. Enti wonso ye wa femu die na ma weni na ho na wonsa enka omo.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You're so sorry with your back, sorry. Oh, what are you? What the cat never want me with your catch? Hey! Na ampai.
Between the pie and carbon.
Hey, madam, pipe menu.
A Syntax pipe. Metono, Omukacham send a one day pa. Say a fee, say a foam. The other pipe we be a yannick gum.
Syntax pipe.
Why a leaky?
Come, madam. From today, Syntax pipe in my pipe. No two ways.
When you know, pipe Ben Abe use
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
In a water. No, hala.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again? Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or being late, of course.
Give me the luckiest, copy from your jab be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God off a boom. If you're poor, what's that way? So would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey!
Is that his car?
Everywhere.
Dial *712#. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Now let me tell you why you should choose Safari Valley as your conference destination.
The new conference building combines modern amenities with the tranquility of nature, providing the perfect backdrop for your next seminar and corporate retreat.
The only conference destination with so many activities, you don't have to travel to visit your tennis club, the gym, or the stables. They have it all.
Enjoy this rooftop viewing deck, basking in the sunlight with the sight of wild animals roaming freely in their natural habitat.
At my break, I'm able to practice my putting.
It's a unique experience that sparks creativity and rejuvenates the mind.
Visit Safari Valley Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
for a businessman to create jobs for the youth of this country. We are no more going to listen to rhetorics. We want somebody who can create businesses for the youth of this country. I always say that any human being without a job has no life.
The NPP has a job to do in government. I shall win power and continue with that job. I shall focus on jobs, food security, and infrastructure. For security, you know that's my turf. Today, having now submitted my form to run as flag bearer of the NPP, it effectively means that I have submitted my declaration for unity.
Let's have a proper debate. Let's elevate the discourse. You know, that's what is important. The Ghanaian people, they deserve to know our views on major national issues. The party delegates deserve to know. So this is not a popularity contest. You understand? So they need to test our views on major issues.
I am offering myself to be elected as flag bearer because I believe we owe a duty to this party to give her a choice to put forward the most prepared candidate for the 2028 election and the most prepared person to be president in 2029. In the last 16 years, I've had the privilege of joining each and every constituency at least 5 times to work hard on the ground and campaign and work for the NPP.
All right. So, as you know, the NPP has some 150 plus days to the presidential primaries. Kwabena Eje Japon, Kene Japon, Brian Champong, Dr. Baumia, Dr. Osei Educhum are those that we know have filed their nominations for this contest, right? And we're trying to assess the 5 individuals who looks more presidential and promising for the party. Right, so on this one, if on this one, I will better your discussion. Hassan says he wants to speak last. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we begin with you, Suleimana.
Well, Samson, I think it's a very interesting contest. Of course, as a country, we do have 2 main political parties, the NPP and the NDC. At this stage, I think we're literally running a 2-party democracy. And so it is important that at every stage, we do have people who can be a good material for our presidency. And so as the NPP is going into the primaries, I think it is not just about electing a flag bearer for the party. It is also about electing who potentially can become president of our nation. And so it's not just looking at the possibility of winning the primaries or the flag bearership race, but it's also about the possibility of winning to become president of our republic. These are fantastic 5 men. I think that they each have some unique qualifications. Constitutionally, they are all qualified. It comes down to maybe assessing them on their own personal track records and all of that. So if you take Kwabena Japon, Japon 63-year-old engineer, from the Ashanti region, from Infansipim School to KNUST. So he certainly would be connecting with some of the big people in this country, given his background. He is certainly a true party person, and I believe that if you want to look at the track record of involvement within party activities, perhaps Kwabena is ahead of all of them. Even though Dr. Bawumia has run as running mate for a number of times, you look at Kwabena's record in terms of his campaign involvement in the Adubuahin times, all the way through to President Kufuor to President Akufo-Addo. He served as, presidential press secretary. That should give him some indication about the intricacies of the workings of the presidency. I think that many see him as a straight talker and a doer. He's played leadership role in the party, one-time general secretary, even though I think that he was unfairly removed at the time. The other thing that goes for him is that because he hasn't held ministerial roles and all of that, I think he skips that burden of, the corruption issues that often will come with having played a ministerial role or something like that. And he's been contesting for this position since 2007. So he's giving an indication that this is a position that he has an eye for a long time now. And certainly he's a good communicator.
Except he doesn't have money.
Yes, of course, except he doesn't have money. I think that is one of the downside of him, that he's not as endowed as the other contenders. And then, of course, he doesn't have ministerial or parliamentary experience. So when it comes to real governance, we can say that he doesn't have that experience. And it's difficult to know what is his base within the party. I know he's from the Ashanti region. I don't even know which constituency in the Ashanti region he comes from. So what is his base in the party? I think that is a difficult one. And I think at this stage, he's not known to be backed by any of the big wigs in the party. I think the only person that I've seen speak who is publicly known is, I think, Ofosu Asamoah, the former, former candidate and former Fair Wages and Salaries.
For the 2 times he has contested, contested this slot, he couldn't manage 1%.
Yes, absolutely. That is true. But that doesn't still take away the fact that in terms of name recognition, having put himself up there and being in the race, at least in terms of name recognition, being known by the party people, you can't take that away.
You think he would do better if he had money?
Well, I think people see him as a very, very viable candidate. There are so many people who think that he would have been a better running mate to Dr. Bawumia in the 2024 elections, for example. So
maybe he should have been a minister in one of the regimes. Because when you become minister, he could have made money. He could have set up businesses.
So you don't say that.
He could have set up businesses, and then he would have become. He would have had money. Yeah.
Well,
some are very rich. We know some who had nothing. Yes. And got into their position, and then the next time they had such a war chest.
Yeah, but that could also come with the risk of having a problem with a corruption scandal following you. That becomes a negative for you. But that takes me to Honorable Kenneth Japan, who is 65 now from Ascendon Pim, and he's always touted his village, and he has 24 years parliamentary experience, and that's very significant, even if he hasn't held a ministerial role before. To be in parliament for 24 years is quite significant. Chaired committees, served as ranking on a number of committees. And
he held the constituency down literally with his own purse.
Yes. And in terms of what goes for him, in terms of the positives for Kenneth Japan, I would say that he has the name recognition. I think in Ghana, a lot of people, any politically active person would have heard about him. The other thing is that he is recognized in the party as somebody who has made significant contributions, financially, campaign-wise, and all of that, even though now there are questions about how he puts that out, and people saying that you overflaunt your contributions to the party. But there was a time when people would tell you that, hey, without Ken's support, the party is going to suffer. So I think that is something that
now they don't only say he overflaunts it. They say, but where did you get the money?
Yeah, well.
So it is party that made you rich. So if you are giving us, stop talking.
Well, but
the last time he tried it, he got 37%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I think he's also seen as a no-nonsense person, straight talker. He speaks his mind. And we are at a point in this country where, especially among the youth, they feel we need discipline in society. We need somebody who can bulldoze his way through. You know, people would say, "Oh, that is what Trump and the other right-wing leaders in some countries use to catapult themselves into power." People talk about where he made his money, but I don't think anyone has said Ken is corrupt. He did this or he did that. There are question marks about, okay, how did he make his money and all of that, but he doesn't have that baggage. He seemed to be a self-made person, and I think he has a strong point when he says, I employ 9,000 people as an individual. And so when I say I'll create jobs, I mean it because I know how to do it. Those who say they'll create jobs, how many jobs have they created? I think that is a very strong point. And then he has a media group that is not too weak. And I believe that in a campaign like this, the media certainly would be helping, and he speaks quite well. I think on the downside, his past behaviors of reckless talk is something that will continue to haunt him. I don't know whether in those times he never contemplated one day wanting to seek to become president, but he got himself involved in certain debates and certain actions that I think that were not positive. Npp for Jimmy, and all of that, getting into debates with some social media folks and direct insults and all of that. I think people would say that he would have temperament and emotional intelligence issues, even though over the period since he put himself up, I think there has been some changes in the way he manages himself. And he may not also be having the overwhelming influence in the central region now as he used to have. I think those days, Ken was like a kingmaker in the central region. And that's no longer the situation. In terms of who backs him, at this stage, I think I only know of Honorable Sticker from Ishaeso, and then I think Honorable Kwaku Kwatin is also backing him. So he also doesn't have that much big names backing him. Brian, 52 now, so very.
Let's say backing him publicly. You may not know those who back him but don't want to show face.
Exactly.
Right. You go to Brian.
Yeah. So Brian, 52. So amongst them, the youngest, very youthful, well endowed,
very wealthy.
Yes, very wealthy. 9 years parliamentary experience now. He did Achimota Primary, went to Presec, US trained, now has PhD from Legon. So in terms of schoolmates and others, I think he would have big guys.
He's pursuing another PhD or so somewhere.
Right, big guys out there. So as you said, his main strength, I think, is his purse. The size of his purse. I think he's quite well endowed from his IT businesses.
He has organizational abilities.
Oh, of course.
He's able to single-handedly bring a whole region to bear to the party's
And that's
fortunes.
That's the point I was going to make in terms of the strength he has in the Eastern region. I think he is now what Ken used to be in the Central region, in terms of being seen as the Eastern regional, kingmaker, which is a strong point for him. Strong academic qualification, youthful. At some point, he is perceived to be an Akufo-Addo backer, as having the support of President Akufo-Addo. Whether that will be a strength or otherwise, we are yet to see, but people perceive him to be. But on the downside, I think he has a negative profile when it comes to his security, the way he gets himself involved in security matters. I mean, if you remember, Justice Short's commission's report recommended that he should be reprimanded for being the ultimate, carrying the ultimate responsibility of what happened at Ayawaso, West Wogon. I don't think that was a positive thing for him. And then, of course, his attempt to buy the state property raises a big question. Do you want somebody like this to become your president? What happens if he becomes president, where he can single-handedly decide what he wants to do in a country where the president is so powerful? So I think that is something that would be a big blow. And people would ask, do we want to go back-to-back Eastern region? After Akufo-Addo from Eastern region, do we want to go back to the Eastern region? That's a question that will be on the minds of people. And I wonder if there are well-known, clear policy positions that we can attribute to Brian. That Brian is known for this or for that in terms of policy.
Yeah, he's advancing them if you listen to him. And I asked him if he was pitching to become the most unavoidable person to become vice presidential running mate. Okay. And he said, never. I'm going for the real thing.
Yeah, so I think as I said, they are all qualified. He has his positives, and I think there are other sides that we have to look. Osei Adichum, who is also not fairly old, 61 now, from Jache in the Bosumtwi district in Ashanti. So he comes from, let's say, the hotbed of the political party. He is fairly, known for his educational administrative capabilities, having been trained in the U.S. as an educationist, administered a number of schools, founded a school there, and of course has the experience of being a minister, deputy minister and a minister, and now he is in his 9th year as an MP.
When they lost elections, I said that if there was one person that Mahama would want to use from the NPP, it should be him for the education ministry.
Well, I have a different view though. I think for his positives is essentially the fact that he comes from the biggest region in terms of support base for the NPP, which is quite good.
He's a hands-on leader.
Maybe we would talk about.
And he appears to have great ideas. He decided that in his constituency, he's going to nurture doctors and engineers, a certain number of them, and he started it, and it's working. He's just producing them.
That's fantastic, Samson. But I think you heard that when my good friend Honorable Mutala passed away, there were about over 40 students in medical school that he was
paying for.
Perhaps it's about what you know that what others are doing. And of course, he's been a former minister, as I said. But I think Adichum was celebrated as deputy minister and was disappointing when he became minister of education. And that's evident in a number of ways in terms of how the free SHS policy was being run. I think there was a whole euphoria. So people did not get the opportunity to look into the details of what was happening within the system. And if you got the opportunity to know what was happening in the system, you realize that things were not going so well.
Okay.
So in terms of name recognition, it's not as much as others. As I said, popular as deputy minister, but disappointing as substantive minister.
How many have you discussed so far?
After this is to Honorable Dr. Bawumia.
Okay.
And then, of course, right now, as you may know, Dr. Adichum is under investigations for a number of issues over his leadership at the Ministry of Education. National Security, I think, is investigating a number of things. Free Wi-Fi contract, the mass set issues, the one student, one computer issue, and all of that.
They've made that public?
It's ongoing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is not a secret. Okay. I think there are a number of things that are ongoing. The last time I was here, I was with Japamesa, who said he's representing him as a lawyer on
was that not Napo? He had gone to represent Napo or somebody.
I have to check that, but I know that there are certain issues that are also being investigated under the tenure of Mr. Adichum, and that's my position on Honorable Adichum. And the last person is Bawumia, also not too old, just 62 now. As we know, economist from Walwale, served as a former deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, running mates, for 3 times. On the 3rd occasion, becoming the vice president for 8 years. UK trained, Canada trained, and so certainly he has good contacts. In terms of secondary school, I think it's Tamale Secondary School, so he's also, he should have some connections there. Yes, among the candidates, obviously he's the most marketed and well known across the country. Experienced in governance, having served as vice president for 8 years, seemed to be quite smart and articulate. There's no question about that. And then I think that he falls in line with what is historical. Apart from Rawlings, nobody has become president without contesting for a number of times. Whether it is President Kufuor did 96 before winning 2000, John Mills did 2000, 2004 before winning 2008, Akufo-Addo did 2012 before winning 2016, and John Mahama, of course, was vice president, but even so had to do in 2012, 2016, 2020 before winning in 2024. And Bawumia has that as well. And of course, people would say maybe it shouldn't come up, but among the 5 is you have Kwabena Japan Edichum coming from the same region, Kenneth Japan from a different region, and he also comes from, let me say the northeast region, but you can say from the north. I think on the downside of Bawumia is, first of all, the performance of the last election. And I think that is 2 things. One is, for me, the very terrible performance of the Akufo-Addo regime. I think that it was, in my view, one of the worst since I became politically active.
That's a question I asked. Was that election outcome a verdict on the administration or of Bawumia? Is there a candidate that the NPP could have put up that would have won 2024?
I think that, so I said 2 things. One is that, as I said, the Akufo-Addo regime was a very terrible regime, very corrupt. I'm sorry, my friend is here, as deputy.
He will take his stand. Don't invite him. Don't invite him. He'll take his stand.
If he wants me to prove, I'll prove with instances at his own ministry where he served as deputy. When I say, the regime was very corrupt, and on all fronts, I don't think that it was good. That was one downside for Bawumia. The other downside for him, personally, was that, he had said a lot of things. He had made a lot of pronouncements, and then when he became candidate, many of it were used against him. Economic management team leader, and then how he, the best economic management team, Honorable Yawasafuma for da. Then you are the manager of the economy, or you are an economist. And one of the lowest point for the government was the economy. Haircuts, the bonds that had been taken,
so
the dollar.
That brings me back to my question. I want, and at the end, I'm asking all of you to say something about that. That was the 2024 election a verdict on Dr. Bawumia or a vote of no confidence in the NPP? Can you look into the circumstance and say the NPP could have presented someone else who would have won that election?
I don't think that the NPP stood a chance of winning that election with anyone, because first of all, this 8-year term, it was up. And secondly, as I've said, if you look at the Kufuor performance, when Kufuor was exiting, and that is perhaps why Akufo-Addo was able to get the runoff, even leading in the first round and then losing in the runoff. But the situation is not the same. Governance was at the lowest ebb, the economy was in dire straits, and people were fed up. A president who was not listening, and so on and so forth. But I said that we cannot just blame everything also on the performance of the president and the government. And of course, the other thing is that it's difficult to extricate himself from what you call the Akufo-Addo performance, because he was vice president. If he was minister, that would be different. But he was vice president, the second most powerful person in the country.
So he was part of it.
So we cannot take that out. And maybe to finish off, I think many friends in the NPP had the hope that one of the strongest points for Dr. Bawumia was the fact that he was going to battle it out with John Mahama in the north. The south, the NPP is very strong. So if you have somebody who is proven to be strong in the north, then that was going to be very good. Unfortunately, again, even in the north, the performance wasn't good. If you look at the presidential, there was a difference of over 700,000 between John Mahama and Dr. Bawumia. You look at parliamentary, out of 57 seats, the NPP got only 10. So certainly...
Who's your money on going into the primaries, if you would stick your neck out?
Maybe I shouldn't, also because of what I do, so that the next time I'm saying something, someone says, oh, he already said this or that.
Out of the 5, the lots, is it obvious for you that it is between 2 persons or 3? Who will they be?
Look, to be honest, I think that if you ask me, I would say Dr. Bawumia is going to win. Because, look, party executives, appointees, 80% of parliamentarians, former DCEs, former candidates, and so on, have all indicated openly that they are for Bawumia. So if if one is to base on those things, you would say Bawumia certainly is going to win. But Ken can also spring up a surprise. And Brian with his money, 2 weeks ago I hear he camped all former parliamentary candidates at his hotel in the Kwewu area, and that's where he keeps the delegates, engages with them and all of that. And money can do quite a lot. As I said, he's quite youthful.
Yeah, so
and all of that. So
age also goes for him.
Exactly.
All right, thank you. And gentlemen, don't ask me to give you the same time as Sulemana.
Except me.
It is because of the way he went about it that I decided that we should hear him deal with all the candidates.
So it's fair.
Yes, so let's have you also. Yes, of course. Rashid Tanko.
You see, NPP, they are not learning from their past mistakes. These 5 candidates, 4 of them, their eye is not on the 2028. Their eye is fixed on 2032. And I'll give you reasons why. They already have an established candidate. The group that sat at Alisa Hotel and drew this strategy, top-down approach, that we are going to elect presidential candidate first before we now think of reorganizing the party, knew what they were doing. Because they already have an established album, which was designed purposely for Alhaji Bawumia. That established album is there. So Ken raised issues about it long since. So that group, the Alisa Hotel group, knew what they were doing.
You mean National Council?
But that's where they met.
That's not a group. It's an organ of the party, National Council.
And I'm saying that per your constitution, council, you know it. What you are trying to do, you are rewriting the whole political landscape of Ghana, the way we organize our elections, top down. Nobody has done it before, 1992 up to now. We've done it.
You said they are looking for into 2032. Who are these?
The 4 others. Because they know this election that they are going for January, none of them is going to beat the established candidate. But if they don't come out and market themselves now, because they know the 2028 NPP will lose again. They will lose massively. Because the NDC is well prepared. Look, this body camera strategy, they don't know the meaning, and we are not going to tell them. My boss handed it to me before he left. We will beat them hands down again in 2028. And they will not understand how we beat them in 2024. Up to now, they still don't understand. And that strategy is still there.
They understand. The economy was battered.
It wasn't only the economy.
Ghanaians were angry. People had lost their pension money.
Good.
Look, there are other things. There are other things with body cam. And Ghanaians are watching what you guys will do. All the promises you made.
NPP told us, in the face of all this, that they were going to win the elections. I don't know what they were saying. That they would beat the NDC with a strategy. Their spokesman said it. That they were going to beat it with a strategy. And we said, well, let's wait and see. Now, I'm saying that 3 items came out in this their contest. 1, monocracy. Very dangerous to our political body. We thought we were crying foul about people spraying money and trying to elbow up people who don't have those money bags to go into politics. And I'm sure because of monocracy, a lot of fine brains in the country don't want to go into politics because they don't have the money. Now imagine one of the candidates saying he can pay as much as $1,500 to each delegate. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So you see that people will think that being a politician is a lucrative business. And therefore, as soon as you get into political power, you are good to go. That is a problem we are now fighting with. Monocracy. They are going to sprinkle money and spread it all over the place.
In the NDC, you don't give money to delegates?
In the NDC, we don't go that path. We are social democrats.
Are you sure?
No. You see, what was is the transportation thing that was...
But they also call it transportation.
You gave
all of you call it transportation.
You see,
1,000 cities.
You see, there's a difference between transporting people and just putting fat envelopes. That one is the difference. And people go in for fat envelopes. You go in there and passing it in all currencies.
so that even when they meet people, Dr. Hansen, even when they hold meetings with people in their own compound, in their own homes, they still give them transportation.
You see, that's the issue of democracy. The second one is about ethnicity. It's not good for us in this country. Let's look at the candidates, what they are bringing on the table, not where they are coming from. No, it's not good. They've started, some of them have started attacking the established candidate, where he's coming from. He couldn't bring the votes because the people rejected. Is it the first time an established candidate like that in Ghana, from his background, was not voted? I can give an example, several. We brought Professor Mills from Central Region, a very big political landscape. In 2000 election, he lost. In 2004, his people did not vote for him. His background, they didn't vote for him. 2004 election. I was then the director of election in Northern Sector. We didn't stop it. We repeated him in 2008. They voted massively for him. So let's stop this ethnicity thing and look at the strength of the person. Otherwise, the thing we are doing now, are we trying to say anybody coming up from the north cannot be a president in Ghana under NPP? This kind of thing that they are doing, they are making their party look unattractive to the Northerners. These are the things we tell them, and then they will say that we are attacking them. And say, because when you begin like this internally and you are criticizing the man and saying that because of this, you say you are bringing voters from your north, you didn't bring them, and we did this, I brought everybody in my region, you didn't bring everybody in your region. Eastern region, I can tell you, it was nearly 50-50 in Eastern region.
40,000 votes.
You see, difference. It was nearly 50-50. So if somebody should use that one, I don't know, the NPP propaganda, they should come for consultation, we'll tell them, and they will understand how to counter some of these things they are doing there. It's not good for them. Then the last one is religion. Religion. We told them they refuse. 2024, we're in the forefront, hey, stop this religious thing that you are bringing. We are not fighting in Ghana. Religion is not an issue in this country. But they hype it. Now it's coming to hit them again. Because they are saying that all the Muslim community, the Zongo people voted against Alhaji Bawumia, and therefore that thing didn't do, so we shouldn't repeat him again. See, they are bringing back that thing again. And we warn them, we as a political party, NDC, we warn them, stop it, it's not good. Let's not go that path. That issue of a Christian-Muslim thing, it doesn't help. Let's stop it. Let's look at the competence of the people who are coming to.
I think both of you as parties, you are guilty of this.
No, but we have already done it severally, and people have seen that we don't go that path. Okay. Like we go and bring NDC presidential candidate, parliamentary, the running mate as a
the NDC's position is that regardless of who, which of the 5 that is chosen, you beat them.
No. For them, I am saying that they themselves have agreed, and they know that 2028 election is a foregone conclusion. NDC is going to win again. So let's focus 2032, but let's market ourselves now. Because they will bring Alhaji Bawumia. He's going to win.
I see.
And we'll beat him again.
Okay.
Because we know how to beat him.
Okay.
So, and then we'll come and beat it.
Yes, Dr. Hansen.
Yeah. You know, the first question you asked, my answer to that is very simple. The outcome of the last elections was a clear vote of no confidence in the previous administration. Look, if you look at the catastrophic outcome for the party from the presidential and as well as the parliamentary, you could see that this was a total rejection of what the people had experienced the last 4 years. I believe that the first 4 years of President Akufo-Addo was relatively good. But the last 4 years, there were issues. And, we all saw what was happening in this country. So, clearly, Dr. Bawumia as a person then had probably 2 challenges. The party's overall performance, which was being looked at by the voter population, because some had actually written off the party and its governance. It was just a question of time. You speak to people. I knew people who were, I would say, neutrals. They want to vote either way, depending on
hurry for elections to come.
You know, I know people who campaign
because the party had become, the government had become tone deaf.
Yes,
they won't listen to anything.
Clearly, the entire government's output had actually become a stumbling block for Bawumia as a person. Of course, he was also part of that governance.
Correct.
So you can't dissociate him from whatever happened. And then the overall effect was that the masses themselves economically were not in any better shape. The hope that the party had given them through their campaign promises and all of it basically had become a mirage for most people. So they were really determined. I don't think NDC worked extremely hard to beat the MPP. The MPP probably was down before the whole election started. And the evidence is in what they themselves said. You hear Miracles and his team saying that, look, at some point they knew that if the elections had been held 6 months earlier, they would have lost. However, they were pushing, and at some point towards the end, they were quite confident that they had overturned, that hurdle that was before them. Of course, the final outcome was there for all of us to see. So clearly, it tells all of us that they themselves knew that, look, a chunk of the population couldn't wait to get the party out. Now, of the five, I think that Ken and Bawumia have a certain historical advantage. Reason is that it is the same album, the same set of delegates, and these guys already have some connection or some favor, depending on how you want to look at things. It was the same people they worked with in terms of wanting to get their votes and what have you. I don't think that the loyalty towards them would have shrunk completely all of a sudden within this short period. And then looking at the time span between now and January, we are talking about barely 3-4 months. Mm-hmm. The other three will have to work extremely hard to overcome that historical advantage, as I put it, and actually surpass them and become the overall, presidential candidate going into the next election. So I see this contest as one that will be very interesting to watch. There are some new entrants in there. They have their own, sets of competences, as Brahma has outlined for all of them. And I think that the overall outcome will be such that the party itself will be forced to accept that this is where we are. Mm. And once that happens, the rest will be up to them to see how far they can go and push for that candidate to become the president.
Okay. Sule, so this is for your attention. The Educhum campaign is saying that he's not under any investigation by any entity. Mm. The Masset issue was not under his tenure, and so they want a retraction for that incorrect reference.
Well, as far as I know, there are issues with the. They talk about the Masset, but I wish they would add maybe the free Wi-Fi and all of that. I'll do checks, but in the event that it is not correct, I retract that and apologize. But if it turns out to be the case too, I would have to put it out. That was correct.
Okay, that's why I actually asked you if it was public, because I hadn't heard about that yet. Okay, Hassan, you decided to carry a veto on this panel that you speak last. All right, so let's hear you. This is your party.
Thank you.
People say you are self-destructing. What you are doing now, you are just worsening your case going into the elections as you begin to pull each other down.
I wish I was not on this panel to speak on the matter, but somehow I find myself here, so I have
this
to
is
speak.
not official party social media handle.
And so this
so
is
you
not,
don't commit any wrong.
When I speak, I don't speak on behalf of the party. It's just my individual.
I know.
views. So yes, I think I associate myself with some of the assessment that has been made by my father, Mr. Suleiman Abrema, when he did the tale of the tapes, as far as the 5 aspiring candidates is concerned.
Quickly explain so people can understand where we are coming from. When you say father, what do you mean?
Oh, so he bears my father's name.
Okay.
Yes, my father's name is Suleimana.
Okay.
So I can't mention his name directly except to.
Okay. I thought it was deeper than that. Because the two of you that I'm seeing, I can't see how Suleimana is your father.
No, he bears my father's name.
But we call many people fathers. So
yes. If I can go through the same way that he did. So we'll start with
no, we can't do that.
If you allow me, I'll just do a few. I won't say some of the things that he has already alluded to. We'll start with probably Asin Bill Gates, the Honorable Kennedy Akumpreko Japan, long-standing member and leader of the party, especially the Central region, and he's supported a lot of, candidates in different parts of the country at various times, supported party generally. And I think that his credentials, as far as those are concerned, are very well preserved. And like you said, he did very well in the last election, having regard to the 30-something% that he made. But you see, at the time that we're going through that primaries, 2023, some of the comments that had come from even Honorable Kennedy Japan at the time was to the effect that the party had already lost the election way back in 2022. And I think most of us will agree to that assessment, that things became very difficult in 2022. So just like some of you have said, it was just a matter of time for us to see the full extent of some of the challenges that we had gone through as a country. And some of us believe that if the election had been held much, much earlier, we probably would have performed worse than we did. But as it is, the reality was that on the 7th of January, Ghanaians gave their verdicts. President Mahama, 6,515,000. His Excellency John Dramani, 4.7 or so million. That's about 41.06%. But we have to look at it also from the point of view that elections have been held in this country before. This is not the first time. In 2012, President Mahama garnered 5,566,221, 50.49%. Akufo-Addo got 5,287,538, 47.9, approximately 48%. Now, in the next election, 2016, as incumbent president, Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, he manifested executive powers. He controlled everything. He controlled policy, appointments, and everything. President Mahama went into that election and lost almost 1 million votes as the president of the republic. So when things became difficult, Dunuso was a challenge, some corruption issues were challenges, he was in the position to change the direction of the government at the time. He did to the best of his ability, but he still lost by almost 1 million votes, largely in charge. Now, the next election, which is 2020, he recovered and did what? And got 6.2 million of the valid votes cast, increasing his vote by about 1.7 million votes, and increasing by just about 100 or 200,000 in the last election. Now, you take Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, 2012, 5.28. 2016, he won the election 53.8%, 5,551 votes. That's about almost 270,000 votes that he got in addition to what he got in 2020. Now, there are two things that you have to look at. And Dr. Tanko Rashid made a point about they presenting candidates more than once. J.E.A. Mills, John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency John Ajekun Kufuor, His Excellency, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, they've all contested elections more than once, sometimes even thrice. In the case of Atamos and Nana Akufo-Addo, they even started it out for a rerun in the 2008 elections. You understand? So Dr. Bawumia's performance in the last election cannot necessarily be held against him because he had indicated in his manifesto, for instance, that he intended to do things that were different from what the government of the day was doing, our government. He had taken a position, for instance, that he was going to abolish e-levy, he was going to create, harmonize the tax system and have flat tax rate. He was going to introduce a number of policies which were quite significantly different from the government. You understand? So that tells you that if he had even become the president, he was going to toe a line that was completely different. Unlike President Mahama, if President Mahama was the president and e-levy was an issue, he would have changed course. I don't know whether you get the point I'm making. So if he was in the position to change things, it means that if he was the president, he probably would have changed those things, in the run-up to the elections. So really and truly, I'm not too sure we can also forget about the fact that the challenges that the government faced in the last administration were not just domestic issues. A lot of it were attributable for foreign, to foreign, pressures. Especially,
Basile talks about the corruption also.
Especially the issue that had to do with COVID. We really didn't really recover from COVID well. And then in the course of the recovery, we had a challenge with the Russia-Ukraine war. And we have been saying it, for instance, that look, that war had serious impact on the economy to the extent that even the efforts in Tamale and Kumasi were delayed because they couldn't even get some, parts that they needed to be produced from Germany. Germany said they didn't have gas, natural gas, to be able to produce. So it had serious implications, on the performance of the government. Yes, issues of corruption came up. The president did his very best, to address some of them. But of course, they were not good enough.
Bawumia camp, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. But I do not.
I'm told that you are very scared, and you'll be surprised who I'm going to say you are scared about. Brian Echampong.
You see, Brian is my personal friend. Okay? Brian is my personal friend. I've been telling him that he should try and then let's get him through the law school. He should finish law school, come and we practice before he would, undertake this presidential experiment. But you see, it gets to a point.
Law school, he has sufficient experience.
No. So
as a leader.
He is a leader. He has. In terms of academic achievements, Brian has it all. And one of the things that he has as one of his strengths is the fact that he doesn't stop learning. So it's a good attribute of a person. But the Bawumia camp believes that it is not his time yet. He should learn the ropes and then in good time. Because you see, the election in Ghana is not...
Are you confirming what Rashid Tanko Computer is talking about?
Exactly
what? They are just seeking to, show face for the next...
I'm not in a position to confirm or deny what he's saying. But we know, for instance, that some people have gone into elections knowing very well that they will not even get 1% in this country. The likes of Dan Latte, his late Dan Latte, and so on and so forth. All these, with all due respect, some mushroom parties that have been formed.
But the likes of Brian is not the type.
Brian is not in that category. But I believe very strongly that the support that Brian gave to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia makes it difficult for him to compete against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and succeed. Because, you see, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been through the country over 5 times. There's no constituency that you go to and you won't find Dr. Bawumia.
We have heard him, he said that.
Places. Okay. He's gone to all these places, he has a name recognition. Almost, you go to, in fact, there are some places that some of these aspirants would go to the first time and they will not even know whether it's in the rainy season this is the best time to go there, or this is the worst time to go there.
There are those. It's a difficult question to ask you. It's a difficult question to ask you because you are with the Bawumia campaign. Otherwise, there are those who are suggesting that the party should rather look between Brian and Educhum.
How?
For the party's future.
For the party's future. What would be the reason for that position? What would be the reason for that position? You see, the NPP party is a party that when it decides in a certain direction, it's difficult for anybody to change its mind. And it's not just a few people who sit down to decide. Nationally, and I've been to the last 2 weeks, I've been to Upper West, Upper East, Northeast, Northern region. We're going to Oti region, we're going to Bono East region. There is an overwhelming support on the ground because everybody believes that, look, if you bring a new candidate, we are now coming to market the person. Children don't even know the name of the next person that you are bringing to, but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia almost everywhere. So you see, there was issues that Dr. Tanko's computer has raised about religion, and tribal politics. I think that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has said it time and again that we should cease and desist from that kind of political rhetoric.
I think almost all the candidates are now saying that everybody should restrain and stop using intemperate language.
It is not healthy.
Hassan Tampulis, MP Wishengo, and Deputy Ranking Member, Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament. For the party. Tanko Rashid Computer is Deputy National Director of Elections and IT, National Democratic Congress. Dr. Justice Jansen is lawyer and former General Secretary, Ghana Medical Association. Suleiman Ibrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. The three of us sitting here, we sat in law school together. Right. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. And Dr. Jansen will help us to understand this particular assault report at the Ridge Hospital.
Still, Misaka, and Nemu was a summer brabo, and it can afford Swabrabo.
Misaka pensions, Caro.
Misaka order Sika.
Misaka insurance.
Misaka loan.
Momo Fogusuri ye echumaden, diaboye nyina ye sika humpan. Se MTN, ana momo jumaye ni befrewa, or the 0244 300,000 ene befrew. Ne numpo orin bitsao one time password, ana se upin code. Enti wonso ye wafemu die na ma weni na ho na wonsa enka omumu.
Uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again? Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Akwatia. Why wouldn't he be late? Or being late, of course.
You go be the luckiest. Go be from your be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame.
Say ya God apple boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey!
Is that his car?
Everywhere.
Dial *712#. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Let's talk hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are normal structures located in the anus of all mammals.
But it is only man who suffers hemorrhoidal disease because of the erect posture we have assumed and the squatting that we do to empty our bowel. Hemorrhoids consist of a special type of blood vessels which fill with blood when we are moving our bowel and help to cushion the anus against the force of transmitting the stool. Afterwards, they empty their blood, collapse, help seal the anus to maintain continence. Over time, these vessels lose the elasticity of their walls, become dilated, permanently filled with blood, leading to congestion of the hemorrhoids. The symptoms of hemorrhoids are bleeding and prolapse of the hemorrhoids when passing stool, itching and feeling of warmth in the anus and anal discharge. Laser, ligature, and longo are the modern, minimally invasive, most effective and painless methods of treating hemorrhoids today.
Winterber Hospital, first Ghana Colorectal Center, in to serve a peculiar health need.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Playing for your country, easy. Scoring, easy. Avoiding injuries, easy. Winning, easy. But you know what be easy now? Kivo 4-in-1 Gary mix. Easy. It gets everything inside. Gary, creamer, sugar, roasted groundnuts. Just add water, then sharp my soakings make ready. Taste and energy, made easy. I'm a match winner, but the real champion is Kivo 4-in-1 Gary mix. Champion taste.
This advert is FDA approved.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valixlease.com or call 0244-644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valix Lease, affordable document management solutions.
Welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. It's brought to you by Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN, everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneur leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance. Dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tanks. It's strong, it's tough. Activa International Insurance, our clients are passion. International Facilities Management Association is also delighted to be associated with Newsfile. Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. And I say my favorite show and people ask me, but Newsfile is your favorite show. No, it's not. My favorite show happens on Sundays at 2 p.m. So tomorrow, join me on The Law. 2 p.m. We're looking at the law and Singapore's global attraction. I'll be dealing with having conversations with the people that you see on your screen, Shem, Aloysius, and Kohe. All of them lawyers, formidable lawyers in Singapore, and they will have a great conversation. Because we are going there and seeking business from them, let's explore the discussion to understand how their situation is. But I can assure you one thing, the law works to the letter, especially if it's a corruption matter. They'll deal with it in seconds. It doesn't matter who is involved. So join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. to have that conversation. Now let's go to the Rich Hospital, where someone by name St. Williams went there to do whatever he had to do, and it ended up with an alleged assault of a nurse. And then the minister, Ralph St. Williams, and then the minister set up an investigative committee, and the committee did its work, brought its report. Now, just too many are questioning that report, but the report also has some revelations that will trouble you. That the whole Rich Hospital, a hospital that we say is an example of a good healthcare facility, does not have basic diagnostic machines. So people have to be asked to go look for the services elsewhere. Looks like that place is also beginning to turn to a place like Kolebu, where sometimes you go, the basic things you need are just not there. They are asking you to go out. And then on the road, Kolebu Road, you see all the, things you need are there. Dr. Yankson.
Samson.
Where do you start from as far as this matter is concerned, even though we are very limited time?
Okay, so probably let's zoom into the findings, the conclusions. As for the narratives, we've all heard so much about them. I want to group the findings into two. The first is what you spoke about. So that will, if you look at the 4 key findings, I'll put number 1, number 3, and 4 together. Number 2 borders on the patient for now, or the victim. Now, if you look at number 1, it's basically telling us that there was no delay in attending to the patient. However, the systemic problems within the facility, which are outlined in 3 and 4, was basically the cause of a delay in getting a definitive diagnosis and treatment. And of course, this tells us that the actions of this gentleman, Ralph St. Williams or whatever his name is, I'm not too familiar with the name, were unfounded because the committee has established clearly that there was no delay. And if you listen to the narratives as evolved over time, the nurses or the medical team were clear in their minds that they had already treated him, and the other patient that he was complaining about had also been treated. But of course, the systemic problems were what they were trying to deal with. And those ones are beyond the scope of the ordinary worker in the emergency room. Now, if you go to 3 and 4, where they talk about the lack of facilities or the broken down equipment and what have you, that begins to tell you the kind of challenges we have in our healthcare system. Rich Hospital is part of the Ghana Health Service. And arguably, it is their flagship health facility, arguably. So if here in Accra, we see all these problems, you can imagine what happens in the regions and the districts. And then, of course, the sub-districts. We have situations where virtually all the diagnostic bits, as outlined in the reports, are all broken down. And the recommendation even goes on to tell us that beyond Rich, there are other problems that we need to attend to in the overall chain. So, i.e., outside of the Greater Accra Hospital, which we popularly call the Rich Hospital. Now, if the patients or the population do not really understand the dynamics of the health system, we'll have a situation where these inadequacies will always be visited as sins on the workers who happen to be there through no fault of theirs. They are trying to practice their lawfully chosen professions and to help all of us, because health is a common good for everybody. Unfortunately, these problems, I don't know what exactly our problems are as a country and why we get ourselves into some of these situations. The culture of maintenance, the culture of sticking to agreements between parties, because these diagnostic sets that are all not working, they are very more or less recent agreements on some of these things. So you ask yourself, how on earth is it possible for us not to ensure that the details of agreements we have with providers of some of these equipment are just, adhered to? How is it the case that we always want all our equipment to fall flat without any value for all of us? And then we continue to lose lives, we continue to have, issues like we are all grappling with.
In 2023, is it June or July, as Dr. Kwame Sapong-Asiedu and Sechi Brown Reginald have brought to our attention, there was a hospital's assessment, report that was generated. And among the key findings were that only 38% of all facilities offering inpatient services have dedicated isolation beds. 74% of regional hospitals, 68% of district hospitals, and 36% of other general hospitals offering inpatient services had dedicated isolation beds. Overall, 32% of facilities have access to an emergency transport system for patients. The primary level had the least access to emergency transport systems. 18% of CHIPs and 29% of health centers, 39% of polyclinics, and 40% of clinics and maternity homes. It gives you a litany of how retooling of the hospitals doesn't appear to be our priority. So the very basic things they need, they are not there. And here we were building 11 hospitals, and now we hear also the NDC talking about building some others. Meanwhile, those that are already in existence, they don't have the facilities.
That's the problem with that. The culture of maintenance is so bad, and it cuts across everything. Look, you check all the sectors that we have as a group of people, as a country, and you realize that any facility that is put up virtually lacks maintenance. And it's something that we need to work hard and move away from. You see, on this emergency bits, this is one crucial area where we've actually lost sight of same over a long period. I remember when I was active in, GMA activities, we've had times that we've dedicated a whole annual general conference or a public lecture to speak about things like emergency medicine. Emergency medicine is such that if you don't up your game, you're going to lose a lot of your citizens. Most health facilities don't have what you can describe as a functional or a proper emergency room. Human resource is also another challenge. If you look at this report, it tells you the staffing norms, where on the nurses front, you have a chunk of them having left posts, ostensibly to see greener pastures elsewhere. And I don't fault them at all. Let's be candid with ourselves. We don't manage the human resource properly. We don't treat them well. We don't pay them well. And when others dangle carrots before them, they will go. If you look at what the report said about the staffing norm and the numbers of doctors and nurses who are at post, as opposed to what should have been at post just about a year ago, you realize that they've lost a huge number of healthcare professionals. Meanwhile, the population also keeps getting bigger. So the limited numbers who are available now are overstretched, and people like this Ralph Saint, whatever, Williams or what it is, wouldn't understand the nitty-gritties of some of these problems, and we want to go there and assault people and behave anyhow towards health professionals.
What would be your quick comment before I move to Sule and to Rashid Tanko? What would be your quick comment about what the report said, that only verbal altercation confirmed on video, no evidence of physical assault, but the nurse, Miss Rejoice Bote, reported hand injury the next day. She was treated with pain relief, rest, and psychological support. No fractures and no dislocations.
Well, you see, they are conflicting accounts. Let's be honest with ourselves. This lady was on duty. So your duty runs throughout the night till the next morning. I don't know what point in time that this assessment was done. But clearly, from the day of the incident, the lady stayed in the hospital on admission. So I think last Wednesday, Thursday, that she went home, barely 2 days back. Obviously, having been in the hospital for that long, I also don't know the point at which this committee did these findings. But as the standard is, you come in, some initial assessments are done, reviews are done, investigations, imaging, all of it. So I don't know whether the committee had access to all the imaging and the subsequent reviews.
You have doubt about these findings.
What I'm saying is that the narrative, this lady stayed there for about 9 to 10 days. Under standard clinical practice, if somebody is on admission for about 9 to 10 days, obviously there is something wrong. Unless whatever she was on admission for is completely different from, in quote, the incident that happened. But from what we have come to understand, she's been there as a result of what happened. So the natural thing or the logical thing is that if somebody has gone through this and has been at the hospital for even more than 2 days, clearly there is something wrong. Because usually when somebody comes in, whether injuries, assault or whatever, we look at it and we may discharge you or we may keep you in.
So I get you. You wouldn't directly answer me and say you have doubts about this report.
Hold on.
That's what you have done. You have impugned the report.
No, what I'm saying is that I don't know the point at which these panel members met the patient. But clearly, she hasn't been well and she's been around. And aside the initial bits that we all saw as a medical report, subsequent activities have been done. If you go through the medical records, I'm sure you will see all of them.
You have done that?
No. What I'm saying is that once you are on admission for days, every day we'll review you twice the minimum. Okay. Beyond that, let's also make this distinction. Just a quick one. Let's also make this distinction clear. You know, the criminal investigations being handled by the CID should not be equated to this committee's work.
Of course.
And the police have actually sent somebody to court with some level of evidence. So clearly there could be more to it than is contained in this report.
Well, Samson, I've taken a look at the report, and I think for me, two things. It appears that the report seemed to place a lot of emphasis on the degree of injury or the level of assault or whether the person was wounded or otherwise. And I think that, for me, is not the point. If, for example, she was slapped and you do an x-ray and there is nothing that has happened to the jawbone and so on and so forth, would you say, oh, that was something trivial, or we checked and it didn't have any impact on her or something like that?
In law, assault is not only when there has been actual battery harm, like beating of the person.
And exactly that is why the lady is actually in court. The thought aspect of the assault.
Yes. So for me, I think that aspect of the report is a bit problematic. But the other side of interest to me is the revelations in terms of the state of the hospital. Where you have a regional hospital, not refurbished long ago.
Celebrated regional hospital, just recently refurbished.
Yes, and then we are told that the emergency section is always busy, always almost full to capacity. But this is a hospital with no X-ray functioning, no CT scan functioning, no MRI functioning. So that, for me, is a disaster. A regional facility that people will look up to, and that is the reason why the emergency department is always full to capacity, and these fundamental diagnostics equipment are non-functional, then how is it a hospital really? How is it better than the clinic at the village, beyond having some specialists here because it's a big facility and all of that? I think that is where we should really pay attention to. And it really emphasizes the point about the situation in the 5 regions of the North, for example, where at one point, none of the facilities in the whole of the 5 regions had a functioning MRI. And I think Honorable...
They had to bring somebody recently to Techiman. To do, MRI, to do CT
But you see, Honorable, that is why sometimes when some of us are reviewing the amount of waste and loot in the system, it gets depressing. In fact, the other day I was telling my colleagues who are on our Fourth Estate project that, well, we have to have regular mental, sort of therapy for them. But because some of the things, when you see Samson, you wonder, why should we be doing this out to ourselves?
They're under pressure.
Some of the contracts and the payments that are made. And because Honorable is here, transport.
You mentioned my ministry.
Yes, you were there, 2022.
What about my ministry?
You pay what? 95.9 million Ghana cedis for airport disinfection. Which airports?
Which year?
2022.
Okay, so let's not divert. We don't have time.
So
let's not divert the
it's quite
discussion to something else.
when you see our hospitals, our sick hospitals being the ones.
Actually summarizes a part of the Harmonized Health Facility Assessment report that I referred to, released in July of 2023. And he says nothing in what we have seen now surprises him. He says overall, availability of medical imaging equipment and services is limited. 27% for ultrasound and 6% for X-ray. High-end modalities for specialized diagnostic imaging procedures are lacking, with less than 20% of regional hospitals offering mammogram, CT scan, MRI, and fluoroscopy services. With regards to gastrointestinal endoscopy, colonoscopy was available in 12% of regional hospitals.
So we have sick hospitals, and I think that before we even talk about treatment,
sick hospitals,
we should treat the hospitals first. Otherwise, we basically would be harming people by taking them here to these places. But our doctors can basically advise in terms of their expertise that we need to do this, you need to do that. So I think we should treat our sick hospitals as a matter of priority.
Thank you. Rashid.
Well, for us, we as a government, we are not surprised. We inherited a very terrible infrastructure from the NPP. I mean, this propaganda of 111, Agenda 111 was just a fluke. It was a complete fluke. It just went to a complete fluke. I mean, what did they do?
No, but Tanko, let me ask you. If you have a situation where about 88 districts don't have hospitals, don't you think they deserve hospitals?
Okay.
If you have 88, you go and be talking of Agenda 1111. The existing ones that he's talking about.
Time is up.
I'm sorry. Cancer, let me handle this. You see this? We have to thank the Honorable Minister. He has shown leadership in this rich hospital matter. I mean, he did very well, Honorable Akando. The way he managed to douse the tension over there, try to resolve the issue by getting through this committee to come out with this recommendation. I read the recommendations and then what they intend doing. Government will take it up seriously. I mean, it is not our intention as a government to allow medical doctors to be subjected to this kind of thing. Government will make sure that everything is done to have a conducive environment and will fix the problems that you just identified. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, if you look at his statement, when he was sworn in, he made a categorical statement about health facilities. And that is why we brought in this Mama Care. You see, you are saying, you people created it.
The truth of the matter is that the elephant in the room, really, is the fact that there is an attempt to protect the person who was the perpetrator. He brought out all of these things. One, Ralph St. Williams. He's the one that, look, in all these hospitals, sometimes you go there and you have to wait. Sometimes, you know, the workers are working under severe pressure, lack of equipment, and so on and so forth, psychological, personal issues, and so on and so forth. You don't go there assaulting nurses. And in the report, you can see there is a clear attempt to shield him away from all liability that he's supposed to face. And they're saying that there was no evidence of assault and so on. Look, in law, and there's a celebrated case of Cole and Turner, they said that the least touch of another in anger is battery. So you don't need to even hit me so hard to dislocate my jaw or something. The least touch of the person in anger, or you put a certain fear in the person already. So the person doesn't have to feel physical harm, but even mental or psychological harm. It's enough, you know, to ground an action. But you see, the point that you make about the hospitals, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you don't find anything wrong with government putting up hospitals. That is very, very surprising.
We're saying, but
I'm scared for this country that you don't see the need to complete the hospitals. Some of them have been completed. It's just left with operationalization. You have to operationalize them.
And for some of us, our surprise is how this assault case has become an NDC MPP banter. The Ralph St. Williams, is he an NDC guy?
He is. They're shielding him.
Oh, I see.
He did the same thing to Honorable
thank you.
in Parliament. The next thing that will happen,
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, as we end, Dr. Eduardo says that there are instances where some people at the hospital sabotage smooth delivery of labs, scan services, and other equipment and reagents in order to drive patients to private hospitals they have interest in. I think such machinery and sensitive equipment, even if purchased by government, should be given to private entities to manage in a PPP agreement, since such private entities will not allow such routine sabotage and lack of proper care and maintenance. And then we'll walk out on this note where Nchibu Esiako says that sometimes we have to call a spade a spade. Let's tell the NPP and NDC to be ashamed of themselves. They are the reason the state is wasting police and other resources on one by-election. Both parties have failed to behave with maturity. They have failed Ghana for over 30 years and are not ashamed to continue this way. If they know shame, they should have walked out of your studios in tears after listening to your take on Singapore.
He's the one in government.
Thank you very much. My guests have been Hassan.
Ghanaian-born filmmaker Nkwate Owu studied filmmaking at the London Film School. He has over 50 years of filmmaking experience as a writer, producer, and director of feature and documentary films. The highlights of his career include the following: You Hide Me. The film was made 50 years ago.